Hi, I'm Courtney Brown, Vice President of Strategic Impact and Planning for Lumina Foundation, an independent private foundation that's committed to making opportunities for learning beyond high school available to all. Thanks for joining us today for this look at our refreshed Stronger Nation report on the country's progress toward a better educated population. There's good news in this report, and that's actually good news for all of us, because education beyond high school is fundamental for the well-being of students, families, and the nation. For decades, Americans have seen economic hardship grow, social mobility fall, and racial inequity and injustice persist. There's no simple solution. But to reverse these trends, we need millions more Americans to find success in learning beyond high school. While about 2/3 of all jobs today and in the future require this level of education, only about half of Americans have attained it. This gap is dangerous to our citizens and to our democracy. Since 2008, Lumina Foundation has been advocating for the goal that 60% of Americans would earn college degrees or other high-quality credentials beyond high school by 2025. 46 states have joined the effort, setting similar goals. And since then, attainment in the U.S. has expanded by nearly 14 percentage points, from 38% to nearly 52% today. But for all that progress, stubborn gaps remain by race, ethnicity, and income. Gaps that we must close if we're going to continue to prosper as a country. One of the most powerful tools for understanding and addressing these gaps is Stronger Nation, which Lumina introduced in 2009. Stronger Nation is an online, searchable data tool that tracks the post-high school educational attainment of Americans ages 25 to 64 nationally, in metropolitan areas, in all 50 states, and down to the county level. It also includes data on the attainment of high-quality short-term credentials, such as certificates and certifications. It enables people to see where we're making progress and where we're falling short. With the click of a button, educators and policymakers can see where resources are most urgently needed and where they'll do the most good. You can use it as often as you like. It's free and easily accessible on our website, luminafoundation.org. As always, the data are transparent and easy to understand. And today, I'll be showing some important updates, along with a demonstration about how you can use this valuable tool. So with that, let me take a few moments to show you how to access the data so you too can play around with it and find other insights relevant to your community and your work. If you have questions as I go along, I hope you'll send them to us in the chat section. All right, so let's explore a little bit. For those of you who are familiar with Stronger Nation, I promise you all the same data are here. We've just done a little refresh, changed some colors, and added a few elements that I think are going to be even more important and useful for you. So let's take a look. When you first come onto the Stronger Nation site, there are two major sections. There's the America's Progress section, and then there's the Goal Exploration section. I'm going to focus most of our time on America's Progress because that's where we've done the updates. So on the America's Progress section, there's actually three different parts to this. There's the nation, states, and racial equity. So let's explore briefly each of those. When you first go to the site, on our website, luminafoundation.org, you'll see the nation come up first. And as you can see, immediately, you can see where the nation stands with regards to attainment. We're at 51.9%. One of the new elements we have is adding the 25 to 34-year-old population. Now, our goal is about the 25 to 64-year-olds. But the 25 to 34 population is a really good indicator of where the nation is headed. So if I use this button here and just toggle over to the 25 to 34, I can see where attainment sits for that population. It's at 53.9%. For the 25 to 64, it was 51.9%, so 2 percentage points higher, which is really important because when we set the goal, the population's attainment for the 25 to 64 and the 25 to 34 were fairly equal. The fact that our younger population is gaining in attainment is good news for all of us. So again, let's go down the screen a little bit. And the first thing you're going to see are all the states. And you can see the attainment level for any one state here. Again, I'm still on the 25 to 64, but you could go over to the 25 to 34 and see how those data change. If I click on any state, I will actually go to that state's page. So we're going to hold off on that for a minute and complete the national page. If I keep scrolling down, I can see the 10-year trend line. Again, this is another new element to Stronger Nation that we're excited about because you can see where we started in 2009, 10 years ago, and where we are today with the most recent data in 2019. When you go across any one year, you can see that the different types of credentials change with that year. Again, a great piece of new information that we didn't have before. In addition to that, when you hover over any line, you can see the highest attaining state at that moment, as well as the lowest attaining state. As we continue to scroll down, we're going to come back to the states. So when we first see the states, they're in this tile version, which is very similar to our last Stronger Nation site. And here you can then sort them by attainment, you can by population size, and again, you can toggle over and look at them by the 25 to 34 or the 25 to 64. Another new element we have here is just a different way to visualize these data. So instead of array, which are these tiles, I can click on list. And here I see every state listed in whatever sorting I had picked. So you can see where the state is with regards to attainment, if I hover over it, and then you can see where they have to go to reach their goal. So this dotted line here is the 60% goal, but for example, Wyoming's goal is out here, and so they have about 15% to go to reach that goal. I can then go back and do the array of the data. As we scroll down the page again, we get to data by race ethnicity. And again, we provided these data before for the nation, but we've provided the trend lines for the last 10 years, a really important element to understand how data are progressing. Now, as you can see here, for the last 10 years, everyone is progressing, but the problem is these persistent gaps continue to exist between different racial and ethnic populations. Really important data for us to understand. As you go down further, you come again to the three sections of Stronger Nation, the nation, states, and racial equity. Again, they appeared at the top of the page, and so rather than scrolling up, I can simply click on one down here and go to that section. Since states is next, let's take a trip there. When I click on states, I see all the state options, including Puerto Rico and DC. And so I can click on any one state. And for example, let's pick Indiana since I'm here in Indiana right now. When I click on this, Indiana's page comes up. For any state that has a goal, and remember 46 states do, we can see the progress toward that state's goal. It'll say what their state's goal is over here. So for Indiana, for example, it is 60% by 2025. And I can see where Indiana is with regards to their goal and compare that to where the nation is. The data are provided for associate degrees and higher, which for Indiana is 38.4%, as well as the data that includes the short-term credentials for Indiana, which takes their attainment rate up to 48.3%. Similarly to the national page, I can then go down and look at the 10-year trend line for Indiana. Again, I can do it by 25 to 34 or the 25 to 64. And similarly to the national page, I can look at Indiana's information by county type. So I'll first see them here in this list form. Every single county is listed here. And these are done by equal size circles. If I hover over any one of them, I can see where Newton County in Indiana, their attainment is at 22.5%. And I can see that over the last 10 years, they've gained in attainment by 2.6 percentage points. I can also scale this by population, so I have a better sense of the larger populated counties versus the smaller ones. These get really small, but the same holds true if I hover over any one of them. I can see information about that county. And I can go back to array similarly to the state level data where I see the tiles and sort them however I want. The other thing I can do here is click on metros. When I do that, that allows me to see the metropolitan areas in Indiana. And again, that information is arrayed here. I can click over any one of them and get more information about that county. And importantly, now I have data on race ethnicity for Indiana for the last 10 years. And I can sort it again by 25 to 34 or 25 to 64. Again, really important information for a state to understand the inequities in educational attainment that they have. And speaking about race ethnicity, one of the newest areas in Stronger Nation that I am most excited about is a section specifically devoted to racial equity. So let's take a trip there now. When I click on that, a lot of the information that we saw on the national page and the state page is provided here. Again, I can look at the race ethnicity data for the nation. I could also select a state. So let's say I want to look at California's data. Rather than going to the California page, I could look at it right here. Again, toggling between 25 to 34 or 25 to 64. At any point here, I can actually download the data that are providing this chart, as well as export a PDF report that speaks specifically to these data. And finally on this page, what we've done is put information we had previously somewhere else and incorporated it within Stronger Nation. And these data allow us to go deeper within some of our equity populations. So for example, if I want to click on the Asian or Pacific Islanders and see more, this tab here, click that, and I can see all of the subgroups that actually roll up to the Asian population. Again, they're all listed here, and this is again for the 25 to 64, but I could have toggled and done the 25 to 34. And for any one of these populations, so let's look at Burmese, for example, I can see there are 90,000 Burmese, ages 25 to 64, and I can see their attainment rate here at 24%. These data are crucially important to help us understand the intricacies of what's actually happening within some of these equity populations. I could close that out and see less. The other thing that I'm able to do here is, for example, the Asian or Pacific Islander population again. If I hover over these dots here, these actually represent states. So I can see here that Puerto Rico, for example, has the lowest attainment rate for the Asian population, whereas the District of Columbia actually has the highest attainment rate for Asians at 88.9%. Again, this is for the 25 to 64, but I could toggle over and look at the 25 to 34 and see if this has changed. Here, District of Columbia is still the highest, but this time they're almost at 95%. And again, Alaska, for this example, is the lowest here for the 25 to 34 at 29.7% attainment. These data only represent associate degrees and higher. We do not have short-term credential data disaggregated at this level at this point. I can see the same information for the Hispanic population. If I again click more, I can see the population data here disaggregated by the different subgroups within Hispanics. Again, they're all listed here, and hovering over any one of them will give me that information. Again, we're looking at the 25 to 34 here. So those are the three components that make up the America's Progress section. The other section that we released a few years ago is the Goal Exploration Tool. The Goal Exploration Tool is really great because it actually tells you what it's going to take to reach a goal. So for example here, the Missouri goal is up. I can change it to anything here. I could pick the nation, for example. When you click on a nation or the state that has a goal, their goal will automatically be populated. But it's a Mad Libs of sorts because I can go through and change anything. So let's see what it's going to take to reach a 65% goal by 2030. And I click on that. And then the data that appear below show me where we're going to be if we do nothing at all. If I click on that, then we can see when I look at viewing business as usual, where we're going to be if we do nothing at all. That obviously we are not going to reach the goal. If it's business as usual, by 2030, looks like we will be at about 55.5%, far off from our goal that we changed it to 65%. If I click on the View Path Toward Equity, though, we can see what it's going to take to reach that 65% goal by 2030. And it shows us the targets we have to reach for each of our populations. And I can do that by race, ethnicity, and I can also do that by age group. And then I can go back to America's Progress and explore that data some more. Thanks for joining us today, and I hope you'll find the Stronger Nation tool as useful and interesting as so many others have. We can see how important this is to meet the fast-changing needs of learners and labor markets, and get ready for tomorrow's students who will be even more racially, socially, and generationally diverse. Higher education will have to rethink, reinvent, and adapt its policies and practices. It will need to focus on the needs of each student and what they actually learn. This will require new thinking, implemented by a variety of partners, driven by new approaches. And these new approaches begin with reliable data about the landscape in which we work. That's what Stronger Nation is all about, providing clear evidence of how well and where Americans are learning and developing the talent the nation needs. I encourage you, go on to the Stronger Nation site and play. I promise you can't break it. Explore. Compare your community to another. Take a deeper look at which groups are being left behind and determine what needs to be done in your community to change that trend. It's work we tackle every day here at Lumina, and we need all hands on deck to reach the nation's and our community's goals. These data are our first step. Thank you.